Hey guys, I'm Sean, and I am an ARKaholic. And welcome back to the Forever ARK series here on ARK Survival Ascended. Now guys, getting started with today's episode, I want to get a few things done in order to get ourselves to level 16. Now, at the end of the last episode, we did kill a couple things, got a decent amount of raw meat, so hopefully that will spoil relatively soon. But the first thing I want to do, guys, is I just want to go through my inventory one more time just to see if I'm missing anything here. But I want to take this with me, this with me, this with me, this, and eventually we'll get some flint. Everything else can kind of hang out in here because the next thing I want to do, guys, is I want to make a storage box. If you guys recall in the last episode, I did want to get to level 16 in order to make ourselves the Raft. Unfortunately, we're not at that point yet. We are currently at level 13, so we're getting pretty close here, but we are going to need a decent amount of resources. From what I recall, we are going to need a total of 75 hide, something like that. We're going to need about 150 or 250 pieces of thatch, and then we're going to need 250 wood. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to dedicate this one specifically to basically getting ourselves all the resources needed for the raft. So at least we can kind of leave that to the side and kind of call it a day. And then after that, and I think it's 75. There we go. Or is it fiber? It could very well be fiber, actually. I think it's fiber, wood, and hide in order to make the boat. But if you guys recall, too, in the last episode, we did find out our skill tree is 1,000 stones. So I think we're going to kind of do a combination of both. We're just going to start out this episode by getting a ton of resources, and hopefully this push system is working because we are going to get pretty encumbered pretty quickly. And I want to see if this push system is working. It'd be nice to not have to come back to base every 5 seconds in order to kind of empty out our stuff. So we'll see if we can get that working here at the start of this one. And then hopefully, once we're able to make the raft, we're going to head over to the White Cliffs area. And then we're going to see if we can get ourselves a spyglass and a couple of other things along the way. We'll have to see what happens. But if you guys find yourself enjoying this one, of course, take a second. Make sure to hit that like button. Really appreciate it. First episode, or at least the first episode here on Valguero, has not come out yet, so I don't know how that's doing. But nevertheless, guys, thank you for all the support you guys have been giving the Forever ARK series. Like I said in the last episode, I know we've had extremely bad luck with a lot of things, especially when it comes to character, but you guys have been sticking along with the series, and I greatly appreciate that. So let's get straight into this. I think on top of that too, since we are kind of going out and getting a lot of resources, might as well start going ahead and hitting these river rocks. Yeah, we're not going to get a lot of stone or anything like that, but we are accumulating a lot of metal, which is something, like I said in the previous episode, you definitely want to get a lot of metal early, because once you get to the metal tier, it just makes it so much easier to be able to just make everything, and literally straight away you can potentially have yourself full metal straight away, which would be absolutely great. That's exactly what we're looking to do here. But gonna get a lot of flint, which is actually good because we are gonna also need to make 100 stone arrows. That is one of the other perks with this skill tree. And then we'll kind of go from there. But we did end up getting ourselves a level. We're going to go ahead. We're going to put that into weight again. So we are currently at level 14. Now, let's try the push system and see if this actually works. So I want to go ahead and I want to pull all of the wood. Max to move. We're going to do 100,000. I'm going to press next this time. Maybe that fixes it. There we go. Storage box all. That's where, oops. No, here we go. I want it from self because I basically want it to, I want to get rid of the storage box. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So I want it from our self next to storage box all. Now there might be a way that I can pick the specific storage box, which I think I can here. Now, I don't know which storage box this is going to go to, but nevertheless, let's push it. And that moved all 65 wood. And we can kind of do the same thing. What's really nice about this is, at this point, I think we could press B. Yeah, still having a little bit of issues with this push system, but that's okay. There we go. We can use this for other things in the future, including metal and all that kind of stuff. By the way, if you guys were curious what this 1 through 5 is up here, these are pretty much saved presets. So in the future, if we want to have just metal specifically, we can make that into a preset. So all I got to do is click that button, and there you go. It'll fix itself, which is really nice. Now, did it push the wood? I don't think it did. I think it might have pushed it over here. Now, that's going to be an issue. It did. Now, that's going to be an issue when you have multiple storage boxes and stuff. But if you maybe get yourself one big storage box or maybe a smithy, because it does hold 75 slots there, you may be in some pretty good hands overall. So let's see here. What else do I want to throw in? 241. We're getting pretty close. I feel like it's 350 fiber now that I think about it, and 250 wood. So you know what? Let's get this out of the way here, and then we can go ahead and kind of keep getting stone too, because getting 1,000 stone, we are certainly going to get a lot of levels from that. So I guess we'll kind of just do everything all at once here. We'll see if we can start picking at this. Come on. Thank you. And then we'll grab some of these smaller trees while we're at it. And you know what? We are collecting a lot of fiber doing this, honestly. So I will admit the pushing system definitely, maybe it doesn't necessarily need some work. I definitely need some work to work on it and kind of figure out and fine tune it and everything. Maybe that's something I'll do in between episodes, because I don't necessarily want to take time in an episode to kind of figuring all that out. I think you guys can understand that. But yeah, let's get a little bit of food. And I think for right now, we'll kind of just keep running back and forth. Again, it's not like it's that far of a distance anyways. And we do have a lot of variables with this, because obviously we have wood, stone, we have also narco berries and stuff like that. So it might just be a little bit easier for me right now to kind of come back up here, unload what we need, and kind of rinse and repeat, if you will. We only have 6 narco berries? Are you kidding me? Why do I feel like we got so much more than that? Okay. So we are at 214 here. Cool. Very surprised that we only have 15 there. Okay, and I guess once this spoils, we'll kind of continue. For now, I guess I'm going to... I'll throw you guys in here just for the space. We can get rid of you. We can get rid of you. We can throw you in here. So yeah, look at this already. We have 26 metal. So that will pretty much get us 13 metal bars, which is really nice, honestly. I will throw the thatch in here for right now, too. Okay, so now we're just going to get a little more wood, and then I think we're going to focus on stone specifically. Probably should go ahead and get a couple of other resources on top of that, too, because we are going to have to repair our stuff here in the near future. So, yeah, let's grab a little bit of that. I do want to get one more piece of metal. There we go, just so we can keep everything even. Got to grab a little more wood here. And like I said in the last episode, guys, I do prefer to go for the... I do believe they are called felled trees. Now, like I said, the last episode hasn't come out yet, so you guys haven't necessarily corrected me on it, but I do feel like that's an actual term that's correct. But yeah, we're just going to focus on these kind of trees. Maybe the trees that are a little bit further out, like down here. By the way, last episode we saw a Carno over here. And the Carno's not here anymore. That's kind of interesting. Definitely going to have to keep an eye out. Because, yeah, if there's a Carno in the area... I am almost positive the Carno was in the area, right? Am I remembering correctly? But I mean, this area looks relatively safe, so I'm not really sure what happened. And by the way, our base is actually really close to where the Carno was. Okay. All right. No big deal. Let's keep going here. So I want to open this box. 241, that'll be 341. Perfect. We're slowly getting there. That should be more than enough wood to be able to handle that. We'll put the little bit of stone in there. And then, yeah, I think we're going to be focusing on mainly stone. Also a little bit of fiber, too. We'll throw that in there. You know what? Let's take that with us, because that'll just be a reminder that we do have to make Now, you know what? That's fine. Let's put it in. Let's also put this in. And let's also put this in for right now. And we do have 2 spoiled meat. Gonna have to keep switching between first and third person. And we'll make those 2 in the meantime. That's fine. And now our next thing is going to be stone, because at this point, just to pull up the milestones here, yep, we need about 822 stone, if I had that right, maybe 832, something like that. We need a lot of stone, long story short. So let's go ahead and start kind of getting that put together here. I think we're going to head over... oh, Pheomium. Okay. I think we're going to head over this way to start collecting some stone. I keep putting the flint and everything back. I don't know why I keep doing that. Let me hold on to that so we can kind of repair some stuff. So let's break this. Perfect. Let's also start breaking this. This will get us some stone, a little bit of flint along the way too, hopefully. There we go. There we go. So we should be able to repair stuff on the fly. Thatch. Okay. Gonna need 5 thatch. So you know what? Let's find a tree. Yeah, we got a couple right over here. Let's kind of break these down. There we go. Repair you. And there we go. Perfect. Okay. All right, let's get back to the stone grind. So, as I mentioned, we do need a lot of stone here. I'm going to focus on these type of rocks specifically. I like to keep these rocks for metal specifically, and the best way to get metal from those is using the pick instead of the hatchet. For these bigger stones, though, you're not really going to get a lot of metal, so let's just go ahead and just get as much stone as possible, and hopefully this pulling system works. We'll have to see what happens, because yeah, we're going to start getting weighed down relatively quickly here. And what's nice about this is we're slowly accumulating some XP too. So once we do get to 100 or 1,000 rather, we may have another level under our belt already, which is certainly really nice. By the way, let's see if the pulling system, or the pushing system rather, is going to work from here. So I want stone. I want it pushed from us. No, we're too far out. Shoot. Okay. All right. Kind of assume that could have been the case, that we were a little bit too far out. I guess there's like a certain distance that it only works in. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, obviously you wouldn't be like all the way across the map or anything in order for this to work, but it is what it is. I don't know how close necessarily, so I guess we'll kind of just keep chugging away in this direction. What level are you? 140. Okay, not bad. I know we were talking about it the last episode, maybe going for a parasaur. That could very well be our first tame right there. We definitely need to head over to the White Cliffs, though, because we're gonna need to get ourselves a, what the heck is it called? The boomerang. Yeah, the boomerang is certainly gonna help. By the way, let's load this up, just in case if we do have any threats in the area. But let's see, maybe from here we're close enough. I guess we'll try this pushing system again. If this doesn't work, then no big deal. We'll kind of just keep running back and forth, but I do want to see if we can actually get this to work as intended here. All right, we're going to click next. We are going to go from specifically us. And I am going to want it in the storage boxes. I'll do storage box all, which is completely fine. And we're going to push. Now, if you guys see in the corner, it does say -206. So it certainly pushed everything over to what we intended, which is really, really nice. So cool. Okay, so it does kind of work. Long story short. All right, let's X out of that. And now we can continue. Again, that was only 200 stone, though. We need another 600 and change. So we're definitely going to be at this for a little bit. Hopefully we get this next level, though. I think we will, ultimately. We do have plenty of rocks in this area, so it's not necessarily... We're not going to run out of resources. It's just going to be a matter of making sure that we have enough materials in order to keep repairing this stuff on a fly. Speaking of which, there we go. And by the way, too, I did notice that we now have an odd number of metal. There we go. We now have an even amount. Let's head over to these rocks over here, and we'll kind of just rinse and repeat. But yeah, I know, guys, it's a little bit more grindy of an experience right now. I did mention at the end of the last episode that maybe we were going to put down wooden structures in our house, and that was going to kind of help us with getting levels and stuff. But at the end of the day, because we're leaving this area, granted, of course, we'll be coming back, didn't really feel like it was necessary right now. And we're kind of killing two birds with one stone, right? We're kind of slowly but surely getting these skill tree points and everything, but on top of that too, we are also leveling, so kind of doing both things at once here, and we may end up passing out, so let's go ahead and work with the pushing system again. All right, rinse and repeat, and kind of like I said, I think we'll make this we'll kind of save this as a preset, and we'll see if that works. Next. Self. Next. Storage box all. I want to save. Preset saved to cloud data. Okay. So I'm hoping that pushed it to 1. We'll have to see what happens here. Oh, I assume it did because it says slot 1. Okay, cool. So push. That'll push 177. And then in the next time, we'll actually press number 1 and we'll see if it actually works or not. There we go. Cool. All right. But yeah, like I said in the last episode, unfortunately here on console, the little tracker in the corner doesn't necessarily work. So the best way to be able to kind of take a look at this would be to just naturally keep coming over here. If you click this, it doesn't really do anything for us, unfortunately. So yeah, we're going to have to keep track of it that way. We are at 581 stone so far out of 1,000. Certainly going to take a little bit. Certainly going to take a little bit of time, definitely. But yeah, we should be able to get that here in a little bit. We did end up getting a level, so that will put us up to level 15. We will yet again go into weight. So we got one more level left. And I think, honestly, with us getting about 500 stone, will get us pretty close to that next level. So I think we're looking pretty good at this point. Now it's just a matter of keep repairing, keep pushing. There we go. You guys saw straight away 98 came out of our inventory. Yeah, that's really going to help us out. Now it really just depends on kind of the distance at this point. But yeah, I will admit, early game has always been a bit grindy to kind of build up your character and everything. So apologies if probably the first 15 minutes of this episode hasn't been entertaining or anything, but I do want to show as much of this off to you guys because even on 1x XP and stuff, yeah, still a bit of a grindy experience here at the beginning of the game. Well, pseudo beginning, because of course we have a lot of things from a previous character that we'll be able to get our hands on, but at least for this character wise, yeah, we're in new beginnings in this situation, if you will. But got another 100 there. Hopefully I don't pass out. I don't think we'll pass out. Well, we passed out. Yeah, I didn't actually realize how long you pass out for. That is kind of crazy. Now, I do think if we do go ahead and start building up our fortitude, that should help out torpidity, I believe, right? So we're able to kind of do more before passing out. Not entirely sure. I could completely have that wrong. But yeah, I think after this, there we go. Let's use the pushing system again. That'll put 262. Let's get an idea of how many left. So we're at 922 stone. Perfect. Okay. So we're almost there. Probably going to be this rock. Maybe one more rock after this. Need a little bit of food. Let's just take care of that. Yeah, it's probably going to be another piece of stone. All right, 76. I was going to say, we're getting pretty close. Maybe I want to just start going for... Nah, there's got to be an actual rock. Yeah, we got rocks up there. Cool. Actually, we'll go for the rock down here. But yeah, I also thought too, because it is currently 4 in the morning, you know, instead of kind of hanging around base the entire night, and there we go. That should have gotten us the first part of the tier. Perfect. Okay, so we need to do 100 stone arrows, then 25 thatch structures. Yeah, instead of kind of hanging out throughout the night and everything, might as well get a little bit of production done. And then while we're at it, let's just do that. Okay, so slot restrictions. Interesting. Shouldn't have been the case, but we'll go take a look at that and see exactly what happened. All right, so you only have 11. Okay. Yeah, definitely shouldn't have done it like that. But that's okay. It is what it is. All right, so all that spoiled meat is taken care of at this point. Unfortunately, though, yeah, we can't make any more. It's okay, no big deal. Like I said, once we get to level 16, we have 341 here in fiber. I think we need a little bit more, though, right? I feel like it's 350, so you know what? Let's go ahead and get a little bit of fiber. And you know what? If we can go ahead and make 100 stone arrows right now, that actually might be pretty good. Let's go jump into the water here for a second. Got ourselves a baby Pteranodon. That's really cool. Saw one in the last episode. Yeah, having the flyers, the baby flyers on this map is just really, really cool. And I'm really excited to go back to the other maps too and kind of see them doing their own thing on the other maps too. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Again, just adds a lot more life into the map and everything, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm actually really glad that they do take flight. It's not like they'll just kind of sit here and walk around and everything. Eventually, if the parent does get a little bit too far out of range, they will start flying around, which I think is really, really cool. All right, but I think we need about 200 fiber, I want to say, in order to make 100 arrows, because I think it's a 2 fiber, 2 thatch, 1 flint ratio, I think. So we're shooting for 200 here, and then we're going to need to go out and get some thatch. Yeah, all right, we're good. All right, so now we're going to need thatch. So let's go ahead and kind of knock down a couple of trees. And that should get us there relatively quickly. And by the way, what time is it? Oh, it's not even morning yet. Wow. Okay. So you know what? This was a pretty productive night, if I'm going to be honest. One thing I will say between ASA and ASE is, if you guys remember, in ASE, the nights are just so dark where it's like, it's really tough to get anything done. It's nice here in ASA that at least through the content creation side of you, we don't necessarily have to use gamma or anything like that. Like, you could see throughout the entire night what the heck I was doing, which is certainly really, really nice. But I think we are just about there. Let's see. Can I make 100? I can make 172. Okay, I don't necessarily want to make 172. I am going to left trigger, left trigger. Because we only need to make 100. And now I can pick that stuff up. Cool. I don't know if this is going to get us to the next level or not, which is kind of crazy. But then the next thing is 25 thatch structures, I believe, correct? Yes, okay. Which we do have plenty of resources for that. Probably a good idea to go ahead and start getting some more thatch. I think we're going to do 25 thatch ladders, and we'll pretty much just drop them straight away. But yeah, I know we're not going to need a crazy amount of wood. There we go. There is our 100 stone arrows. And now again, we're just going to need a ton of fiber. Now, one thing to keep in mind, guys, when you are building in thatch, the materials of thatch, being the fiber needed, the thatch needed, and the wood needed, actually weigh less than the final product. So, for example, thatch foundation will end up weighing more. So if you are kind of going around grabbing a lot of resources and then you're going to go ahead and just make everything straight away, just know it is going to end up encumbering you. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to do that, make sure you do that inside of like your house or something where you're a little bit protected. If we do it here on the outside, eventually my character will completely stop moving. Now, the good news is that is the only structure class, if you will, that causes that issue. In the future, when you go into making wood products, into stone products, metal products, not sure if tech would really count in this situation, but the materials needed, so the wood, thatch, and fiber needed to make a wood structure, for example, weigh more than the final product. So long story short, you can kind of encumber your character and then start making foundations, and it will naturally drop down your weight, which is really nice. Same thing with stone too, which is really convenient. If you have a creature, you can kind of load your creature up with all stone or all wood and then gather the rest of the resources, move everything over to your inventory, make a ton of structures, and then kind of rinse and repeat. Go around, grab more materials, and kind of rinse and repeat, which is certainly really nice, and you do end up getting a lot of levels from that. And speaking of which, that has gotten us to level 16. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go ahead and make 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now, as we're walking, you will see eventually that our character will most likely stop moving. And that's because, again, the thatch ladders that we're making will weigh more than the required materials to make it, basically. I actually just realized thatch ladders do not actually need wood to make. That is interesting because certain thatch structures, like foundations, do take a little bit of wood, which is kind of interesting. But you can see my character is starting to really slow down now. And eventually, my character will completely stop moving. And if you guys want another example of this, we're at 253 weight, 257, 261, 265. So we just keep going up and up and up. And granted, we could throw out all these berries and stuff too, which is certainly weighing us down. We have another 54 narco berries too, which is certainly really nice. But even at this point, being at 236, we'll probably get ourselves almost very close to being encumbered, if not, yeah, pretty much encumbered. We're going to throw this down straight away. We don't need that. And now we can move again. And if we head over here, we now have 3 skill points. And the first one we're going to do is hot-blooded 100% because this is going to give us a nice health regeneration. So now with the 3 points, we now have 300% health regeneration, which is honestly really, really crazy. if you link that up with getting yourself a Drakeling, I think it's the spring one specifically, which also works with health regen. Oh my god, it's like you're unstoppable, pretty much. I don't think you're unstoppable, but like, yeah, you'll be able to recover very quickly, which is nice. Now, because we're level 16, we can go ahead and make this. Now, the way we're actually going to do this is, and I completely did that wrong, just going to kind of load stuff up in here. The way I'm actually going to do is we're going to head over to crafting. We're going to click wooden raft, and we're going to come up here, and we are going to pull the crafting cost. So everything will get pulled to our inventory in order to make this product. And I'm pretty sure, because we're on 1 times XP, this should get us at least a level. Maybe even 2, if I'm going to be honest. But we'll see here in a second. It is going to encumber us, though, so we got to keep that in mind. There we go. Got ourselves a total of 2 levels doing that. How crazy. I'm actually going to go wait again. There we go. So we are now up to level, what, 18? 18. Wow. Yeah, moving quickly here, which is nice. And we actually ended up at about 18 and a half, pretty much, which is, yeah, we're pushing this relatively quickly. Okay, so now make a couple of these, 11 more. Again, it's just a matter of slowly building everything up here. Gonna get rid of that, gonna get rid of that, gonna take that, and gonna throw that in here for now. What we're gonna end up doing, though, is we're gonna get on the back of the boat. I'm actually gonna take one of those storage boxes with me, and we're gonna put that onto the boat. And I think we're also gonna go ahead and make a bed for the boat, too. So let's do that. Let's put the raft down. Because now pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to go and sail over to the White Cliffs area, and we're going to try to grab a couple of resources. Now this is going to be extremely heavy, so I'm just going to move over a couple of lighter things right now, and because of doing those 11 narcotics, we got ourselves another level. It's crazy how quickly you level, honestly. Look at that, 32 metal straight away. How crazy is that? Okay. Gonna drop this stuff here real quick just so we can move stuff over relatively quickly. We'll do 3 at a time. And of course we'll have to take the stuff down to the boat and everything too, which is fine. Pick you up. And yes, I know that there's probably a way that I can just push everything over to the boat at this point, but, you know, I'm still learning this whole system and everything, so we'll figure that out in due time. But for right now, first person, let's also try to straighten this out as best as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it would be nice to have things sit kind of nicely on the boat. I gotta push that back just a little bit. We have enough time. When you drop something on the ground, I believe with my current settings, we have about 5 minutes. And if you guys want this all lined up and everything, what you can do is you can go into orbit camera and try to figure it out. Now there is a little bit of a slant, so let's do that. And we can try to line this up as best as possible. There we go. Perfect. All right, where is my stuff? There we go. All right, so what else do we need for the boat? I want to make a bed. Certainly want to do that. If we have the resources for it, we do. Perfect. We have a level, so we're going to go ahead and put that into weight again. What else am I going to need for the boat? Maybe a couple of campfires. If I can make 2 campfires, that would be nice. There we go. Should be able to make... Okay, can only make 1 because we're going to need some thatch. Okay, that's fine. I guess 1 is fine for now then. Anything else for the boat specifically? I think we're okay. We could actually make some hide armor if we want, interestingly enough, but I think we'll just kind of deal with that. Okay, so now we are going to start moving these structures over to the boat too. Now we got to figure out what's kind of important to take right now with us. I think the wood is important. I think the stone we don't necessarily need. I think I'll just move the stone all into here. But yeah, I don't see us really needing stone, so at least for the meantime. There we go. Charcoal can also go in there. That can also go in there. That can go in there, and we are good. You, and you can go in there. Because, yeah. You know what? We will take the narcotics with us, because we are getting relatively close to level 21. So we will take that too. And I think we're good to go with the boat, actually. So we are going to be saying goodbye to this area for right now, because I definitely want to try to get a spyglass here in today's episode. I think that would be really, really nice. And we do get to explore this area a little bit too. And I know, like I said, I've said this a couple times already, the beginning of this was a little bit grindy right at the beginning, but yeah, welcome to early game, guys. That's kind of the way that things work here. Let's throw all this stuff in. Let's also set up a bed. Maybe we'll set the bed up on this side or something. And like I said, if you do want to try to straighten things out as best as possible, orbit camera is going to be your best friend here. If I want to line it up this way. There we go. And if we want, we can kind of put the campfire right in somewhat the middle if it wants to cooperate. I don't think it's going to want to cooperate, but like right there should be fine. Yeah, if I try to go further in, I don't think it's going to allow it. No. Okay. So we'll kind of put it right there is perfect. Cool. All right. All right. Let's set sail. Now, what's really nice here in Valguero, and I believe it's the same in ASA, I will admit, I did not really explore the underwater region in my first impressions. We did end up in the Abyss, which is kind of like the underwater ocean completely underground. But that being said, out here on the surface, I don't believe we have leads, which is really nice. So we are able to kind of just head across the open water like this with no problems. But I think once we kind of land over here, the first thing we're going to do is try to find some crystal. Now, unfortunately, we do only have a stone pick, so coming across crystal is going to be pretty risky because we only need 2 pieces. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you guys have played early game, you know it's going to take like 8 or 9 crystal nodes in order to get those 2. Now, once you're in the metal tier, completely different story. It's very easy, very quick to get metal, to get crystal rather. But we'll kind of have to see what happens. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing some crystal over here. Now, whether it's accessible or not, I'm not entirely sure. But what's also really nice about coming to this area is the White Cliffs area, which is kind of straight ahead here. I know it's a little tough to see because of the rain. There's a lot of early game creatures there. There's a lot of dodos there. There's a lot of lystros there. Stuff that's just easy kills, so you can get a decent amount of XP relatively quickly. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe we will head over there. I think it might be a good idea to just park right here, though, just to take a look around this area. But yeah, I believe straight ahead here, you guys see that kind of bit of a hole, for lack of a better term, almost like a little rocky bridge right above. I think through there, at least back in ASC, used to be a lot of metal nodes. And usually where metal nodes are, crystal nodes will also be. So let's go ahead and park right here. And I think while we're at it, Might as well grab a little bit of wood too. We're just going to take a couple of basic resources with us. I will take that. I will keep that. I will take that. I will take that just in case if we need to repair on the fly, and we will take that. Perfect. Okay. So let's get some spears out just in case. But yeah, look at that straight away. There's metal right there. Okay, so before leaving this area, I may go ahead and try to get some of those metal nodes taken care of. But who knows, maybe by the time we get all the way up here, we will be level 20, 21, so we will be able to go ahead and make some metal. But let's have a quick look around here. Kind of get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. I'm going to say that direction is going to be towards the metal. I feel like this rock, if I'm going to be honest. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if we're going to have accessibility to it. If we don't, that's going to be a problem, but we'll figure that out. Okay, so pretty cool looking Pteranodon. What level are you? Level 20. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I always feel like the... Oh, shoot. Can I make that jump? I think I can, right? All right. Let's just make sure we're in run. Okay. Whew. Here we go. Oh, we made it. Barely, but we made it. Okay, good. Yeah, that would have been pretty rough. Yeah, we would have died right there, actually. And you know what? Thank God we put the bed on the boat, because then... Oh, yeah, this would have been really difficult to get back to. Maybe not. Maybe we would have just spawned in the White Cliffs area, but still. All right. So, oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, I was going to say, I could have sworn... Is it only one node? Oh, no, there's a lot. Okay. Here we go. Come on, crystal. One crystal already. Perfect. We just need 2. Now, we could get a little greedy and keep going, which I think we may do. There we go. We got 2. Okay, can we make the spyglass? We can. Yes. Oh, it's such a good feeling getting the spyglass now. There we go. We're going to drop you on down there, but I do want to make a couple more bolas. We have 7. I would always like to have 10, especially at the beginning here, but we're going to get a little greedy here. I want to see if we can get a couple of these, because if we do end up running into any creatures that we might want to tame, any kids or anything like that, we can make a dino ball with 1 crystal. And we got rare mushroom. That's kind of interesting. Did not expect that. Okay, so we are able to make 1 dino ball right now. But yeah, if we come across like a kid or something, maybe the parent dies, maybe we kill the parent or something, yeah, we might be able to get our first tame of the series here pretty much straight away. But yeah, gonna see how much crystal we're able to get. Of course, once we get to the metal tier, that'll make things a little bit easier. We'll be able to get a lot more crystal, so not necessarily worried about that. But right now we're at a total of what, 3 crystal, something like that. Now if we were at level 30, we could go ahead and make a water jar with that. We would need cementing paste, of course, but that's relatively easy because I think we have chitin keratin back on the boat. Alright, got another piece of crystal. For some reason, I'm not hitting that node anymore. There we go. Okay, might have just been placement. There we go, another crystal. I'm not really too concerned either, guys. I know we should probably wait till metal tier in order to... Completely forgot. We could pass out. This is probably the most amount of times I've actually passed out in a series so far. Oh, man. It is what it is. No big deal. Biggest thing we got to worry about is food right now, because food is relatively low. So let's just have maybe 4. Perfect. We'll break this up, and then we'll start heading back towards the boat. But yeah, haven't seen any threats or anything over here, which is certainly really nice. You know what I just realized? We're not going to be able to make that jump So, you know what? We do have to kind of loop around here. So, all right. Let's head this way. I think what we'll do is we'll kind of get back on the boat. All right. Trike, not too bad. I think I can go through that in order to get back to the boat. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the way back to the boat. And you know what? I don't think we're going to go for those metal nodes yet. I think we'll kind of wait on those until we are at the metal tier, just so we can get a ton of metal at that point. And we can probably use the pushing system for that. Or at least we could test that out. 95 and 145. Ooh. 145 trike. Not too shabby. Yeah, you know what? Trikes are one of those things that's like, I would love to use them. They're really powerful, but they're just so freaking slow. That's like the biggest issue with them, honestly, is, you know, if you want to get from point A to point B, you'd rather just run. Or, you know, get another tame. You know what I mean? A parasaur would be pretty good. The only thing is defenses with a parasaur. You know what? If by any chance we're able to get ourselves a baby Dimorphodon, I think that would be pretty cool. You know what, though? Heading over to the White Cliffs area, getting a Jerboa might be kind of interesting too, right? Got a baby Phiomia right here. What level are you? You're a 140. Wow. Yeah, we are finding some pretty high levels here at the start. Okay. Let's just put a couple things away here just to kind of lighten up our load. There we go. We'll also throw you in there for now. And we'll throw there for now. Cool. Okay, so. All right. Let's see if we can get out of here. And I think, like I said, we're going to start heading towards the White Cliffs and everything. But I think what we're going to do, guys, is I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the episode here. So long story short, we got ourselves level 16 finally. We finally have ourselves a raft. We finally have ourselves a spyglass. And now we're going to head over to the White Cliffs area. We're going to take a look around there. Possibly next episode we'll get our first tame. We'll have to see what happens. But that's going to wrap this one up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We also do offer channel memberships if that's something you're interested in. Channel memberships start at $1.99 a month. You get early access to these videos, and you do get your own members-only series. If that's something you want to check out, click the join button down below. Greatly appreciate it. Hello, Pelagornis. That's going to wrap this one up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you all in the next one when we check out the White Cliffs region.